This is the new Audi Q3, and a very orange one at that. And I think that this new Q3 is one of the very best small SUVs that you can buy from a luxury brand right now. A lot of that comes down to its very competitive price point. There's only one variant available for Australia at launch, which is the 35 TFSI, which only starts at $47,000 or thereabouts, and with the launch edition package, which I have on this car here, it only bumps it up to just over $52,000, and that gives you all the bells and whistles you could think of needing. And so what I want to do is show you around this new Q3, let you make your mind up to see if you agree with me. Is this one of the best small SUVs from a luxury company around right now? Or would you rather have something like a BMW X1 or whatever new model Mercedes has out this week? Starting on the outside, I think this thing looks absolutely fantastic, especially this launch edition version with the black mirrors, blacked out grille, lots of black accents all over the place. Looks really tough as a result. The orange paintwork too, I mean, it just stands out. It's kind of like a traffic cone, let's be honest, but it's very cool nonetheless. Everything from the wheel design to the bumpers, everything's really funky. The only bit of tack I really don't like are the fake exhausts, or sort of grills that look like fake exhausts at the back. They're pretty lame. Otherwise, it is a very nice design overall on the outside. The design on the inside of this new Q3 is equally as sharp as its exterior as well. Like with all new Audi interiors at the moment, it just feels incredibly modern and looks really modern. Everything from the steering wheel design to the absolutely fantastic virtual cockpit gauge cluster, the new infotainment system, which is so clear and so easy to use. It has wireless Apple CarPlay as well, which is very handy, and a wireless phone charger to boot. But you do lack the secondary touchscreen that you get in higher spec models like the A6 I've previously looked at, but these climate controls are totally straightforward, and everything else in here just looks and feels modern. That's really the takeaway with all Audi interiors right now, is sharp, crisp lines, lots of metal, good materials like that. It's pretty good overall. The seats are nice and comfortable and pretty supportive as well. The materials in other places, like the top of the door cards and the top of the dashboard, it feels more Volkswagen than Audi, but still it passes, given the fact that this is 52 grand for the launch edition at least, and not, you know, 92 grand, let's say. There's plenty of room in this interior as well. Up front, I've got lots of space to stretch out. In the back, I can sit behind myself very comfortably. There are cutouts in the back of the seats as well to help fit your knees in there. It's really well packaged overall. The boot's nice and big too, so it marks pretty highly for the interior. The way this new Q3 drives is really good as well, and that's despite the fact that it doesn't really do anything better than anything else in the class does, nor does it do anything differently. It's just a really good package overall, and just a very normal feeling crossover. A very good and premium feeling one, but very normal nonetheless. Now, right now, the only model you can get here in Australia is this 35 TFSI, which has the same drivetrain as an entry-level Tiguan 110 TSI, and the Tiguan's a really good car, so having the same drivetrain here, a 1.4 litre turbo 4-cylinder with a 6-speed dual clutch and front-wheel drive, it's all sort of business as usual. It's a very responsive engine. The turbo on it is tiny, so you'd kind of expect that. It doesn't really take very long to spool up. The dual clutch, it's pretty quick. Volkswagen Group's dual clutches have always been really good in terms of performance, and this one is no exception. And the fact that it's front-wheel drive doesn't really matter. I know it would make more sense for it to have all-wheel drive, not just being a crossover, but being an Audi, but nonetheless, it's totally fine. It doesn't feel like it's ever struggling for traction or anything like that, so nothing to worry about.
Now, it should be noted that all-wheel drive models and other variants are set to arrive in Australia later in the year, although you can already buy the Q3 Sportback with the 2-litre 40 TFSI drivetrain, but it's worth noting that the 35 TFSI Australia receives does differ to what's on offer in Europe. While both Aussie and Euro 35s serve up the same amount of power, 110 kilowatts and 250 newton meters, the European model features a newer and more economical 1.5 litre turbocharged engine with a 7-speed dual clutch in place of the 1.4 and 6-speed combo we get. Why do we miss out? It's simple. Our petrol sucks, as it contains between 5 to 15 times as much sulphur as fuel that meets European standards, meaning the newer 1.5 litre engine's petrol particulate filter can't operate effectively enough when running on our crummy go juice. Shame.
It steers really confidently as well, this Q3, and the steering is right in the middle. It's exactly where you want it to be. It's not too firm and it's not too light. It's just right. It feels pretty responsive to what you want it to do. You can feel that it's a bit heavier and a bit taller than a hatchback or something like that, obviously, but it doesn't really matter too much. It's still a perfectly nice thing to drive. And it remains fairly balanced through the corners. The ride is a little bit on the firmer side, I'll admit. Being German, you kind of expect that, but it is fine. It's never uncomfortable, that's for sure. And what it does lead to is really nice, solid handling. It feels balanced. A little bit of body roll when you're really on the limit, but overall, it's a really pleasant thing to drive.
While unfortunate that we can't get the Q3's more modernised European 35 TFSI drivetrain in Australia, this new model is still a good one with the proven 1.4 litre engine. That aside though, it's a totally compliant thing to drive and a fairly pleasant place to chew up the miles in, and the technology it offers is bang up to date too. Ignoring this Launch Edition's $52,000 price tag, the regular version is, in my opinion, very well priced at $46,400 given what it offers, not least in terms of brand cachet. One could say it's a bit of a jack of all trades but a master of none, but there's nothing wrong with that as far as I'm concerned. Simply, it's just a great all-around car.